Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya, and here we bring you all the news in respect to India's fight against COVID-19, be it the testing kits being developed, the PPE kits, several other medical devices, drugs, vaccines, or the other work being done by our COVID warriors, doctors, researchers, scientists on the ground out there. So today we're going to focus on a test which has been developed by a team in IIT Hyderabad, the COVID-19 testing kit, which is entirely different from what is being used right now. It is being said that the accuracy of the test is very high. Also, it takes very less time and it is cost effective as well. So we'll learn more about the test, how it works, its features, and how it will help us further in this battle against the COVID pandemic. Let me first introduce the guests who are there with us on this particular show, starting with Dr. Shiv Govind Singh. He is the professor in the Department of Electronical Engineering in IIT Hyderabad, the person who, along with his team, has developed with this test. We also have with us Dr. Rakesh Mishra. He is the director of Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, CSIR's one of the premier institutions. And we're also joined by Dr. Nasreen Ehtesham. She is the director of ICMR's National Institute of Pathology. Welcome, gentlemen and ma'am as well there on Rajya Sabha Television. Let me begin with you, Dr. Shiv Govind, and let's start by trying to understand the testing kit which you have developed.
Thank you, Daya. The test kit, what we have developed along with my team at IIT Hyderabad is like if you see the salient feature of it, it is actually RT-PCR free, and we are actually utilizing the RNA sequence, which is fairly conserved region of the coronavirus, and we have immobilized on our surface, and then we have tested the conductometric test, and we are actually able to see the change, and with the whatever change we have seen that, if it is less than the threshold, then we can say this is a negative case. If it is more than that, it's a positive case, and this is artificial intelligence enabled. So it will actually able to give you a very precise as well, and it is app based. And since we have actually reduced the number of steps what RT-PCR used to do, we can actually reduce the cost, reduce the time as well.
Okay. What do you mean when you say it is RT-PCR based intelligence and it is an app based test? Does it use artificial intelligence?
Yes, we use the artificial intelligence for deciding the threshold of positive and negative.
And then how do you do that?
So we test the case with the known case, and when we know that some negative case where how much change we are seeing, and the positive case what is change we are seeing. So whenever negative case, then we decide that artificial intelligence still decided what is the threshold I can put it, and based on that model will still suggest that okay, this is a positive case and this is negative case.
Okay, you said it is a RT-PCR free test. It is neither antibody nor antigen test as well. Then what kind of test is it?
So yeah, so as I mentioned that it is we select a nucleotide from the very pretty conserved region from coronavirus, and we immobilize on the surface. So it is almost similar than what PCR does. PCR also take the nucleotide. Instead we are taking those PCR because they require higher load, viral load reading. We make our device so sensitive that even a small viral load can also be tested. That's what the significant difference. So we need not to amplify it, and without that we can actually able to test it. That is the major change we made because our device is very sensitive.
Okay, Dr. Nasreen, your views on that, and any questions out there as far as this particular test is concerned?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And it's very nice. Today is the need to have all kinds of viral detection by different method, by RT-PCR, antigen, or any other new method is always welcome because our nation needs diagnostic at a very fast pace. I'm very happy that you have a very good kit. The question that I would like to address here is, what is the detection method? Do you do colorimetric? Do you do some AI based, or how do you detect it? Number one. Number two is you said it's a highly conserved region that you have identified. This conserved region, what kind of conservation does it have in other coronavirus? What are the chances of your kit detecting other coronavirus and not specific to COV2? Third question, um, what? How about if the test fares very well? What is the capacity that you have for mass production?
Okay, those are three very important questions there. Dr. Shiv Govil, let's start with the first one as to how do you detect it and then come to the other two as well.
Very good question, madam. Thank you so for asking the question as well. Uh, Detection is not colorimetric. It's not going to be color based. It is going to be electrochemical based change only. So we are going to. So I am having a background of electrical engineering. I am utilizing all the electrical signals trapping, and we are using that in this. So we are seeing the change in the electrical signals whenever any kind of vibration happening. Okay, so that is the difference. So we are not using any colorimetry. So that is electrochemical method. So we are actually using that technology. Now, that is probably the answer your question number one. And what was the second question? I just
Dr. Nasreen?
Yeah, can I repeat? The
Yes, please.
second question was, you said you have used a highly conserved region of SARS virus.
Yeah.
So my question is, what are the chances of detecting non-CoV2 and other coronavirus?
So, like the idea was selection of the designing of this is to from the conserved region of Corona 2 only. Okay. So it will going to be a very selective for this. Of course, we need to more the test will do. Let's say then probably you know that we are catching something else. But till now we did not get any wrong information.
Okay, and on the third aspect, which Dr. Nasreen pointed out, we'll come to that as well in terms of how this can be scaled up further. But let me first bring in Dr. Rakesh Mishra here. Dr. Mishra, you've heard the gentleman there and the questions being put by Dr. Nasreen as well in terms of how the test works, what are its key features. What's your overview on this kind of testing methodology which Dr. Shiv is talking about?
Thank you. So I see that it's really something very exciting because as Dr. Nasreen mentioned, we need more and more tests because one kind of test has its limitation, A, and B, the gold standard that we have today, which is RT-PCR, is highly technical, which means you need to purify RNA, then you convert that into DNA, then you amplify and detect it very sophisticated way with expensive machine. So you need really latest molecular biology setup actually to do those tests, and those have been limitations that a lab can do few hundred tests and not few thousand tests. While if you take away the enzymatic part of it, I understand this device can be used without having to worry about purifying the RNA. You can just take the sample, inactivate it, and immobilize the RNA on a device that Dr. Singh is talking about, and then use your probes specific against this virus and go and look at the electrochemical signals that come because the probe goes and sits there and changes the electrical environment, which they are very smartly able to measure. So I think this is fundamentally a different kind of probing, different kind of testing, which, as I said, all you need is really probes, which are, I understand, synthesized oligonucleotides, specific. So today we are talking about COVID. I assume it can be used for any RNA virus or even DNA virus for any bacteria. In fact, you are going to detect nucleic acid-based detection. So that is something fantastic. And mass production and cost are actually largely demand-based. So I think if the technology is robust and it doesn't require too much of a sophisticated setup, so here in this case, I can assume that you can send inactivated viruses and they can able to do the test. So you actually eliminate even very strong biosafety or BSL-2 requirement. So I think it's very exciting, and more use of this machine will generate database, which will be helpful in deciding the more specificity of the probes, and if there is any false positive or false negative, and those things will come out. But this is something extremely important, and we all look forward to this coming in the field after, of course, appropriate trials and validations.
Okay, that's the part which I would like to bring in Dr. Shiv Govind here on trial, validation, testing, and how ready you are in terms of this particular test or the device which you are utilizing for it.
Yeah, it's like as Dr. Mishra said, and he's our hero in Hyderabad. So we always look for him for all the kind of suggestions and all. We always look for it, like papers and all. So uh, uh, we are ready for testing, and we are preparing the. Actually, we went to the ICMR website, and I'm not able to understand that how to process it, because this kind of device, there's no protocol given. So how to proceed? If I can get some help from Madam here, it will be great. So we are really looking to go for ICMR. We are ready, very ready. We are testing almost every day some samples, and so that I can database can improve and I can get accuracy improve. So if I can get some guidance and how to proceed for ICMR approval, it will be great. Like I can take the advantage of
Well,
this.
well,
So
well. It looks like Dr. Shiv Govind, we have the person concerned here, Dr. Nasreen. Could you go ahead and take Dr. Shiv Govind through that process quickly, since it is an exciting one and it's happening on television as well. It'll be really interesting to see the research or the initiative being carried forward by all parties concerned.
Yeah, we have a total complete protocol which is published on our website. Just to briefly tell you without taking a lot of time, because you can go ahead and read that, but you have to write a mail saying specific things about your kit. How is it different? How does it work? And then send a mail to the to Dr. Tuteja. His mail ID is mentioned on the website. And once you have sent the mail to him, he'll explain it to you. Because we have several different institutes which are doing validation. We have institutes which are in ICMR setup. We have DBT. We have DST. Several different institutes which can do the validation. But you need to approach ICMR for getting it done, and ICMR will be very happy to validate the kit if it's functioning fine with good sensitivity, specificity. I'm sure you'll be able to proceed further to DCGI and for approval.
Okay,
thank you.
okay, that's wonderful out there, Dr. Shiv Govind. I'm pretty sure you will follow those processes and requirements out there. But as Dr. Nasreen pointed out, in terms of specificity and the other requirements with respect to a test, where is your test accuracy, specificity, and all other requirements? You must have done some testing in your lab elsewhere as well. So for our viewers and for both Dr. Nasreen and Dr. Mishra as well, if you could bring those parameters.
Okay, so like we have tested at lab level as well as the clinical level. So clinical level, of course, we cannot control the viral load, because that is something what they have given. We have to test it. So whatever test we have done, it's come very good. Probably their viral load is very high, I must say. So we cannot quantify it as well. However, you can quantify it, but right now I'm not quantifying. We can actually use the AI again to quantify it later on, but that requires more data for me. But right now we are doing yes and no type of setup, so that we are not worried. We have done at a lab level where we actually have synthesized the RNA of what we are targeting in the corona, and we are getting, like, we have tested up to 1 LOD, one attomolar LOD, and LOD, theoretical LOD 0.1. However, whatever we measure is 1 attomolar already. It means even 10 to the power 4 molecule viral load will be there. It can actually able to test with our device.
Okay, Dr. Nasreen, coming to these aspects and specific, if you look at the overall test, and as Dr. Mishra also pointed out, it also seems to take care of the biosafety requirements, because it would not require an active virus there. So if you look at the post-COVID scenario also, to go ahead and look for testing methodology, this can be used in terms of other infectious diseases as well. Obviously, this is the biggest challenge right now, the COVID-19, but we have to think beyond COVID as well.
Yeah, the test technology, what he's mentioned, yes, it's a very good technology. It's a new technology where you'll be measuring it neither by colorimetry nor by any other method. But if I understand correctly, it's a biosensor-based method, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are looking at the biosensor-based method. That's going to be useful for not only COVID, which is at present the main theme. but it could be used for any other infection, be it viral, be it bacterial, because it's based on nucleotide hybridization, and it could be RNA, DNA, both. So this is a very good thing about this kit. It's a novel thing. However, I will go back to the use of BSL facility. If I understand correctly, you still have to isolate RNA from the clinical sample, don't you?
Like, I don't think it's required separation. However, the facility I am using it, ESIC Hospital Hyderabad, they have the sample only after the extraction. But now
Right.
I am approaching to Gandhi Hospital Hyderabad as well as some other hospital where they can give me directly MTM stored sample, which I can directly place on my machine and test it. So that test we have not done it, but we don't, because we don't have the accessibility of this. But now I discussed with the Dr. Srinivas, the dean of the ESIC hospital. He also asking their employee to keep some sample for this test as well. So probably next week, probably this week itself, we are going to start testing even with the MTM sample as well, so that we will probably claim both the way. RNA extracted one and without RNA extraction can be done. So
Okay.
that is my goal.
If it can be done without RNA extraction, it's a very good idea, because then you don't need to extract RNA, and extraction of RNA need a super BSL-2 facility, which is a biosafety level 2 at least. So if you don't need, then it can be used in field without any problem.
Yes.
Okay.
But as you say, it need to be tested before we make a claim, right?
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Without testing. we
Okay.
cannot claim.
Okay.
But my belief is it can be done.
Okay. So we're getting there, and obviously, as Dr. Nasreen also pointed out, this is a very exciting technology, and Dr. Mishra as well. Dr. Mishra, how this might help, the way this particular test or the progress is being made on this kind of testing technology, how this might help in the larger picture, because we have different kind of testing methodologies, and you were saying in your first response that as of now, what we require is to push it further. Our testing strategy, testing capacities, capabilities, those have to be pushed more further.
So as we already discussed, the features of this test don't require very high level or sophisticated laboratory setting. So if the device can be placed in a smaller remote places, and it is app based, so you have connectivity all the places. So actually it can be a point of care device, which is a dream. If you have a point of care device which is detecting early infection, which means the virus directly, that's something very important, and I think it should be emphasized. And inactivated virus samples can be directly put on the machine, and as I understand, is going to enrich by immobilization of the RNA, and then you can detect it. So it should be possible to do. It doesn't require actually purified RNA, and then more sophistication can be added, because you can add multiple probes, so you can with different and measure the signals one after the other, because it's a short time, it's not a long incubation time for this. So I think it can be done in minutes. Having said that, I find it more exciting because if in the country, institutions like IITs come and address medical problems, I think we are going to see a very, very different scenario. Then we can do anything which any other country can do, or even better than them, because we have the brightest young guys there. They have in their own fields done a remarkable thing in development of this country, in technologies. You can see the power of IT that India has staged itself in the world scale. I think this COVID pandemic has brought lots of experts and lots of institutions together to address the problem of this amplitude. As you can see, these are not very, very, very high-tech technologies, but it is the mind of the professors like Professor Singh and many other IITs. IIT Delhi has done a remarkable job. Many other IITs are coming, and medical institutions coming together and joining hands. I think that's going to be the game changer. It's not the problem. It is now our determination that will address such problem. That's what is changing, and that's what I find very exciting, including from this invention of COVID testing kit, the new one that we are talking about.
Okay, that's a very significant point, and that brings me to the last question to Dr. Shiv Govind here. Dr. Shiv Govind, you're an electronic engineering person, you're from the Department of Electronic Engineering in IIT Hyderabad. This is to do with medical sciences, biosciences. How difficult or easy, what is it? What prompted you to go ahead and get onto this?
See, if you see that all the medical devices developed by an engineer only, not by the biologist. So that suggests that it's required a good combination of both engineer and doctor. So thankfully, we in our campus, lots of doctor is there who is actually faculty, and my wife is also trained professional in biology, and she did PhD from IIT Bombay as well. So I get lots of help from her to understand the biology part of it. And as I said that, like you can see CCMB, and I actually have some good friends there. We can keep discussing with the biology part. Engineering part I can take care, I know, but biology part understanding is important, not for deep understanding, at least domain knowledge required to attack the problem. So which I get several sources. And I know engineer can develop technology, and I can get the domain knowledge, and I can probably help it, and that's where actually I started working on it.
Okay, that's a very good example of the teamwork which Dr. Mishra was talking about in terms of which is being seen elsewhere as well. It's not only in this particular case, but as Dr. Mishra was saying, the work being done by researchers and scientists across platforms, across institutes in this pandemic has given us that benefit of going ahead and utilizing this particular talent pool. Dr. Nasreen, your concluding comments on this testing methodology, this particular kit, its utilization, and the way we are moving ahead in terms of bringing forth the talent, which obviously already exists, but now that it has got an opportunity, it comes forth and does that work which is required in this crunch situation.
Yeah, as Dr. Mishra mentioned, that if we take the positive aspect of the COVID, there are tons of negative aspect of COVID, but this is one of the very major positive aspect of COVID is a very strong marriage between engineers and doctors or biologists. And this has several different IITs. It's not only IIT Hyderabad, there are other IITs, there are other engineers which have come in contact with biologists to fulfill their need. What is the need of the country? And as Dr. Singh rightly said, that engineers have been throughout making the devices. Devices have never been made by the doctors. Doctors are only using it. So, COVID had brought these two disciplines very close to each other. And in future, I'm very hopeful COVID is going to go away, but this marriage is going to be everlasting.
Definitely.
And
thank you.
We need that.
Thank you.
We need this.
And then we need this. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasreen out there, Dr. Shiv Govind, and Dr. Rakesh Mishra as well for sharing your views with us on this. As our panelists pointed out, this is a wonderful example of a combination of initiative, research, and innovation, which we see teamwork participation from all disciplines of science. And in this crisis situation, in this current situation, we've learned a lot. This is a good learning curve. There are quite a lot of positives. There are negatives as well. We're fighting a battle with the pandemic, but there are quite a lot of positives. And as far as this particular test is concerned, let's hope that this goes ahead and brings us a cost-effective alternative, not only for the COVID-19 pandemic, but also for other infectious disease, if at all, maybe this technology can be used. We'll come back again with more updates on this and several other aspects of India's fight against COVID-19. You keep watching Rajya Sabha television, and do not forget to follow the social distancing norms, and also please step out of your house with a face mask. Thank you.